Good afternoon, everyone. So today we'll be talking about a slight modification to the earlier project we did in my last video. Um, what we'll be doing in this video is basically swapping our current load balancer, which is run by Apache, to Nginx, had a SSL certificate and a domain name. So instead of us accessing the application via the high load balancer IP, we'll be accessing the application through a domain name. So I've kind of gone through the entire project. Here is a demonstration of what we'll be trying to achieve. You can see this is a domain name. There's an SSL certificate attached, which you can view. Well, this is the SSH certificate indicating that the site is secure. And this is my Jenkins, right? This is my Jenkins server, and we can quickly just test if the Jenkins server is working as expected. So I can quickly go into my Jenkins, into the code base of the tooling repo, which is what we are um, deploying on the server. So while here, let's just make a slight modification to the login page and see if that will show up. So I open the login page. Let me just activate the editor. Let's identify the login session. So this is the login session. This is the login form. So above the login form, let me enter a h2 tag and just say testing. Oh, come on. Testing the CI CD flow, right? Just to see if that's will show up. So I'm going to update. As you can see, now that the update has been sent, I can come here. You can see that immediately my Jenkins server picked that update up. And if you open this up to see exactly what went on behind the back, right? So while that is loading up, we can refresh this page to see if the changes we can see. The changes I made reflect here. And while still on the Jenkins, so let me just clean this up so that where is it? Okay, is it? So let me just clean this up. So that I can go back to the original code. So I just send this, right? So what that is doing. And so basically, I'm just trying to test out that the entire workflow is working as expected. You can see immediately the update has been applied to the production server. So essentially, what we are trying to achieve does not interfere with our base infrastructure, which is setting up the database, setting up the NFS server, setting up the three web servers, setting up a Jenkins server, and setting up a load balancer. So, but the only difference in this approach is that we are we are kind of scaling up our load balancer by introducing an SSL certificate and a domain name. So I've done a detailed documentation of the entire approach, which you can find uh, inside the load balancer web solution with Nginx and SSL. So kind of give a comprehensive architecture or what is happening, which if you follow up with my previous video, you will understand that, or you agree with me that the basic infrastructure setup is basically the same thing with just a minor alteration to the load balancer end. So if you are coming from my previous video and you still have your setup, you don't need to touch exactly what you have, provided everything is working as expected. So what we are going to do now is I'm going to leave the current load balancer. I'm not going to touch it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to launch a new instance. So let me just call this let's call this load balancer server Nginx2, just to indicate a different um, one. So I'm still going to maintain my sample data. We are not going to create a new security group. As you understand, even if you are coming from the Apache era, you are expected to have a load balancer security group in your project. So this is just the basic setup. Then in my network setting, I'm going to change the subnet to correspond or to be consistent with every other instance in my setup. So I'm going to pick the 3A. Then we're going to launch that instance. Now, when we open that up, let me quickly confirm that my security key or my security group for the load balancer is still responding to my current IP address. So while waiting for that to be up, so let's just go back to our documentation. So in our documentation, I kind of introduced some concepts here like the SSL certificate, certificate authority, domain name, then the domain name, domain name service, and some common domain name service record like the A record, the AA record, the C name record, the MX record, and the text record. Just to give you some fundamental background into what we are working on and some key concept in NGS load balancer, just to give you a kind of a good foundation with respect to what we'll be working on. So we'll start our implementation by connecting to the instance. So I'll do that by going to the SSH, right? So I'll launch my terminal. So let's clear this. Let me CD to where I have my key pair, so I can paste this. Hopefully that should allow us to log in. While that is kind of coming up, I can quickly just confirm that everything is well with my SSH. So let me just take this out and check if there's a new one. So I try to save. If it saves, oh, that means my IP has changed between the time I set it up and now. So let me cancel this because it won't allow us to. So I'm going to try it again. And this time around, we should be able to log in into the SSH console. So I'll come back to the documentation. I'll copy the two commands to update and to install Nginx. So I'm going to paste that here, which is going as fast as it should. So we'll just give it some time to go. So while he's doing his own thing, you can just come back and review our next line of action. So let's check. It should be fast. Yes, so it's fast. So I can quickly check the status of my Nginx system CTL status Nginx, right? So my Nginx is working as expected, so I can clear. Right, so the next line of action is for us to do sudo nano. We update the host file, so we do etc hosts, then that should open it up. Then I think I have my here already. So basically what we are trying to, whatever we want to name each of the private IP of our three web servers. If you come back to your instances and you click on this, you will see that I have 172.132.3.4, which is similar to what I have here. So I'm just going to copy this. So for you, you have to check what your, so I'm going to paste it here. I can just give it a bit of a comment here. Web servers private IPs. Then you can save that, which is fine. Then the next step is for us to configure our ngs config file, to edit or update. So to say, so I'll do this now. So the part I want to update basically is inside this HTTP, and I will come to the last part of it, and I'm going to copy. So the code I'm copying is not everything. I'm just copying this particular code, right? That is exactly what I'm copying. So I go back to the file, right? So I go back to the bottom of the HTTP block, right? So I can paste in my code. So let's do this. One, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4. Should be fine. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know why the tab is not working as I expected, so let me just use space bar. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me use tab for this. Not work. It's gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, which is fine. And these are correct. Right, so let's see this. Okay, these are not correct. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right. I think that's just about it. So at this point, I will save. Then we can do sudo, just to test our configuration, sudo nginx -t, right? You can see successful, which is good. Now based on what we have done, basically, I'm expecting now, so let me just restart, just show you something. Based on what we have configured, right? Let's come back here. So this is my second, this is the load balancer we are configuring. This is the public IP. If I go to this, it's going to show me the defaults, right? Now, based on what we have configured now, at this point, I can swap. So what I need to do is copy the privates. I cannot swap the underlying load balancer that these two servers, these three servers, web servers are responding to. So what I needed to do is go to their security group, all right? Then edit this. Since the three servers are using the same security group, so whatever adjustment I made here will affect the three servers. So 32, then save. Now, ideally, based on these changes, if I reload this page, it ought to show me this, but well, it will not at this point because the default page is still very much active. So which brings us to our next step. So we need to delete or remove the default page. So this, once we remove that, it will force Nginx to trigger the load balancer. So we'll go back here, we paste this code here, then we'll restart our web server. Then now, if I go back to this and I refresh, it will be forced to point back to the web server. So now the load balancer is working as expected. Now, the next step we want to do is, based on these changes we have done, this will no longer work, which is also fine, since we want to change. Interestingly, I can actually make two of them to be working simultaneously. All I needed to do is to add the load balancer, which is the first load balancer IP, to the web server IP, but we are not doing that, so we'll leave that out for now. So this is the page. So the next thing we want to do is we need to get a domain name. Now I'm going to show you how to get a domain name in Nigeria for as low as 2,600 naira, right? So if you click on this link in my documentation, it's going to take you to, let me just open it in a new tab so that you can still maintain our documentation. So it's going to bring you to this point. Normally, if you go to the home page, you'll be able to see. So let me just log out so that you see exactly what you will see if you come to the page newly. So if you open this, right, you're going to see this, some information. You can click on this, to go to the shop, and what we are looking for is register a new domain, right? And interestingly, you might even get it cheaper, given that this is your first what do you call it? Your first attempt to on this site. So basically, I can let's just assume that so let's do Idara solutions.com.ng. So if I search for this, right, it will give me this option, right? And basically, this is what we are trying to achieve. So when you add these two cards, it will ask you to add a domain warranty, but just deselect that if you are not, just indicate you are not interested, and you discover that your price still comes at this, then you can click on pay. no thanks, click on no thanks. You'll be asked to fill in your information to register your account and the like. So let me just show what it looks like once you are registered. So let me just quickly log in with my account. Registered me. Okay. So now that I'm in, I can close this. So let's go back to register a new domain just for so that I can show you the entire processes so that okay, so he said he recognized that I'm actually working on one, so which is this, and I have said, oh, I don't want warranty, so maintain my price. So you can say, okay, no, thank you. Let's go and make payments. Now, the beauty of this is you can pay in Naira, and that's one of the most important things, especially in Nigeria, that we have a lot of problem paying in dollars and the like. So this is an excellent choice for people in Nigeria and the likes. So you can either pay with your Naira cards, you can use your VAV card, your MasterCard, your Visa card or whatever. And if you don't have a card, right, for me, I have Google Play, which I can use to make payments. Uh, you can still use your normal, what they call your USSD code on your phone. If you don't have, maybe a bank app, you don't have a card or whatever. So you can probably choose a first bank, right? And based on that, if you click on pay, it will give you the instruction of what to do. You can either also do bank transfer, where you'll be given a bank account to transfer to, you can pay with your bank. If you click on this, it will probably direct you to where you can choose your bank, and you can probably log in into your own bank app to make the necessary. You can see there's a lot of banks you can choose from here. So if you click on any of these banks available, it will let you log in into your internet banking, and you can use that to make payment. But if not, you can also, if you want a more simpler option where you don't need to go through all those long processes, you can click on bank transfer. We give you a bank account, and you'll be asked to transfer into the bank account. I think you said this will expire today by 5 p.m. We give you a lot of time for you to, that's about an hour plus for you to make this bank transfer. And once you are done, you click on I have made the bank transfer, and that's the end of that. And once that is done, you'll be referred back to the domain name, to the domain provider dashboard, where you are going to see your newly created domain name. Now, once you have done that, so let me just show you. This is taking a lot of time, so let me just show you. Let's just go back. I've bought a domain name today, so I don't want to pay. I don't want to buy another domain name. So you should go back to my domain. You'll be able to see all the domains you have bought. So I bought, where is it? I bought this today. As you can see the dates, I bought this today. Now, if you come here, you come to this, you click on manage domain. So if you come to manage domain, you come to your left hand side, you come to where we have DKNG DNS Manager, which is Domain King Domain Name Service Manager. So if you click on this, then you'll be asked to open the DNS Management Console. I've configured mine already, where I've pointed this to the load balancer, my current load balancer, as you can see. Okay, I pointed it to a hold load balancer. Now for this, so let's just hold on this for a moment. I want to quickly show you something. When you buy a new domain name, or a new domain, I want to show you what you are likely going to encounter. Let me close this. Now, if you buy a new domain, let's go here. Let me see which of them. Okay, let's try this. This is one of the domain I have. Let's go to domain. So if you buy a new domain and you come to your DNS, you click on your DNS Management Console, you will discover that there's a lot of records here. You can see there's a lot of records here, right? So what you need to do is you would delete all of them, all of the DNS record. You delete everything. Now, let's go back to our documentation. So we have been able to get a domain, which is here. So the next thing we want to do is we will need to get. So let me quickly show you something. Now, one of the interesting thing about AWS is this. When you let me just refresh so that you can get the expected. Now, so one of the interesting thing about AWS is once if I stop, let me stop this instance. Let's stop it. But before that, you discover that look at this private, the public IP, which is exactly what we are using to view the page. Now, if I stop that, then that has been successfully stopped. Let me just refresh. Right, so this is being stopped. So let's just give it a bit of time for it to complete the stop page. Once it completes the stop page, this particular IP address will disappear. Okay, let's see. Right, you can see the IP address is gone, which means that the instance has been stopped. Now, let's start it back. So pay attention to the public IP address. What we have here is 13.38.54.84. Now, pay attention to it. Once it restarts the instance, you will discover that the IP address will change. Now, you can see what we have now is 15. What we had before is 13, right? Which means that if, let's assume I've used this for my domain, by the time you restart your server again or your instance, your domain will not be able to link to the current IP because it's not aware of the current IP address, the public IP address. Now, to be able to address this and ensure that our IP address remain constant irrespective of how many times we restart our instance, we are going to make use of what we call elastic IP, right? So the elastic IP is more like us assigning a fixed IP to our instance. So I'm going to click on allocate elastic IP and just give it a tag. I like tagging things. And let me just load, let me say load balancer. Let me just say Nginx, right, which is the tag I used. Now, that has been created already. So based on what has been created, which is this new one, I'm going to click on action. Let's just wait for it to use. Alright, so this is not it. So let me let's click on this. Now, what we just created is this. So I can call this load balancer Nginx2. Let's save it. Then when you select it, you go to action, then you associate it, then you pick the instance you want to associate it with, which is the Nginx2, then save. So once we have done that, pay attention to what we have here. You will discover that this IP address will be the same IP address we have on our instance. So this is the previous IP address that we have there. Now, if I refresh this, you can see that it has updated the IP address. Now, if I come back here and say, let me update this. Now, he has that propagates that new IP address. So this IP address that I just associated with my load balancer, that's what I need. So I will need to go back to my domain provider. So let me just go back to the domain I bought, freshly. So which is this. So I'm going to go to manage domain. Then I'm going to go to the DNS manager, click on this, then edit this. So I'm going to remove this and paste this in and save. If it's not allowing you to save, just cancel, just delete, then just get a new A record. What I need to do is take this, paste it here. That's all. And given the fact that this other one is reference, so let me just delete it so that they will follow sequentially. So I can just do copy this from here, paste it back here, then change this to CNAME. Okay, I'll just paste it here, then change this to www dot, right? So add record. So what we are saying is that when you go to www.facilitymanager.com.ng, it should point back to the A record, and the A record is pointing to the stacky elastic IP for the server, which is all what we need to do here. Now, if you go back to my documentation, right, I entered that you can check if everything is okay with your domain by going to this DNS checker. So here, I'm just going to paste in my domain name, then put dots at the back. Then I'm just going to first check my name server to see if it's pointing to the right name server, which is there. Ideally, when you buy a new domain, it might probably take a bit of time, maybe between 30 minutes to about 48 hours. But most of the time, within 30 minutes, it should propagate your information. So if I go to the A record, right now you can see that it's pointing to the right IP. If I do www dots and I change it to the CNAME and I search, you will see that the CNAME is pointing back to the A record, which is exactly what we want to achieve. So everything is fine, everything is looking fine. So based on this, if I change it back and I say, okay, fine, I want my facility manager instead of my IP, you will discover that it will work. You can see it's working, but still the website is not secure, which now takes us to the next part of our project, which is the installation of the SSL and SSL certificate. So to do that, we first check the status of the snapd, right? Because we are going to use that to install. Okay, this has closed. Let me plug in back into the terminal. So just waiting for it to connect. Let me just confirm that everything is working properly. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? So connect. Okay, oh, because the IP has changed, so I need to get a new one. So let's cancel this. Oh, so there's some additional character to the SSH code. So let me just clean that up real fast. Right, so that should work. Yes. So let's go back to the documentation. So we are going to take this just to confirm the status and ensure that that is working fine. So I'll do this. Yes, that is working fine, which is good. Let me increase this. So now the next step is for us to install our SSL certificates. So to do that, I'm going to copy this code. Then I'm going to do this. Which is fine. Now, before we go into install it, so what we have done, we have installed it on the system, but we have not installed it on the domain. So, but before we do that, we need to go back and add our domain information to our Nginx configuration file. So I'll come here, copy that, paste it here. Then inside the server block, I need to go to the server block. So inside the server block, I'm going to update the, we need to update the server name. So I'm going to put in, sorry, let me just copy it so that I won't make mistake. Where is it? So let's just copy this. To avoid typographical mistake, I'm going to do www dot this, then save this, and I need to restart my server. Okay, let me just type it myself. Sudo systemctl restart ngx, which is fine. Then once that has been achieved, we'll go back to continue with our project. So now we need to obtain the domain information. So we need to obtain the domain information from the Nginx config file and pass that to the certificate bot so that it can reference that when trying to install. Instead of us typing in manually, we just ask it to extract that information directly, which it has done by this command. So by the time you now try to install, so now this other command is how you install the certificate on the domain. So I paste it and press start. It's going to fetch the domain. So you ask for my email, which is fine, because this email will be used to notify you. Right. So now said blah blah blah, accept, just follow the instruction. Yes, no problem. Now you can see that now it recognizes two domain names, which is the root domain name and the www subdomain, which is also part of the domain. And it will ask you that which of them do you want to install the certificate on. So you can either choose, you can either specify by saying either one or two, or you can leave it blank if you want all of them. So I'm going to leave it blank. So it's requesting for certificate for the two accounts. So give it time for it to do its thing. Okay, so this is successful. Now, all I needed to do is let me just refresh my server. Getting a bit too lazy to type. So let me just get this. Let me just refresh my server and voila. Now, once that has been done, right, all I needed to do is confirm that my load balancer have the HTTPS, which it has, and that is open for everybody. So I can come here. So instead of having to type, I can just do HTTPS SS. This should work. Now you can see that the unsecure is gone and the certificate has been installed on the domain. And that's all what we needed to achieve in this particular video. One more thing. Now, it is interesting to know that the SSL certificate by default expires every after 90 days. Now, for us to ensure that, so we need to set up what we call a cron job, and a cron job is what we call a scheduled job that we have instructed the system to run, like a set of command we have instructed the system to run at a specific time in the future on a regular basis. Maybe we want it to run a command every 1 hour, every 2 hours, every 12 hours. What we use is what we call a cron job. Now, to achieve that, you just need to copy this command. So you paste it. Now it's going to ask you to select which of the text editor you want to use. For me, I'm using Nano, so I'm going to pick one. Press enter. So it's going to open the Chrome job for me. Yeah. So all I needed to do is come back here, copy this particular code, right, and paste it down here. So what this code is saying is that it should run this command, right, every 12 hours, which is twice a day, and it should not log any of the log any of the record or the output or whatever into the log, right? So what this simply means that it will not log the this particular process. It will not log it into the system log. Let's just save this. It will not log that into the system log, but the if there's any error, the error will be inside the Chrome. It will be inside the SSA certificate log, where you can go there, which is the encrypt me. Let encrypt file on your server, but it will not log the operation, either successful, failure, error, or whatever, on any of your system log, which is a cleaner way to keep your system log clean without error. If you need more information about to understand better how to set up a Chrome job, or especially with respect to the time interval, you can visit the Chrome tab guru, where you can play around. So you can see that this is 5 minutes, 4 hours. If I want day, I can say, okay, I want 4 days. So this thing will run on the day of the month, at it will run at 004 on the what on the day, that's around 4:05 a.m. on the 4th of every month. That's the whole whatever. If I can make this 0, which means that this will run at 4 a.m., right? So if I want it to run at midnight, I can set it at this, which will run at midnight at the 4th of every month. So if I can make this 0, and I can say what we have here is 12. So what we are saying is that this thing will run every 12 hours, and the like. So can set several random words. So it depends on your unique requirement. You can make it once every day, depends on your unique requirement. So that brings us to the end of the project. You can see this is working fine. Let's just try to log in. Hopefully, it takes a bit of time to get the consistency right. Let's try it again. Let me refresh the browser again. Yeah, so we are logged in, which is exactly what we want to do. So let me log out. Let's try the Jenkins server one more time to be sure that everything is working, even though we are using a totally different domain name now. So let's just be sure that everything is working. So I can just so let's just do this. Let's see. Let me see. Okay. Right. So H2 testing the Jenkins server to be sure it is working. Right. So we can just save this. Commit to the main branch, which is the branch we are deploying. So let's check. So let me refresh this. So you can see everything is working as expected. So this brings us to the end of today's tutorial. Please like my video if you find it very useful. Subscribe to my channels, so that if future videos are released, you can get notifications. So you can activate your notification bell so that you can get email notification or in-app notification once I release more videos with respect to DevOps development or DevOps operations and practices. Thank you very much.